and welcome into episode 38 of the Level Flight Podcast. I've got Elliott with me right now.
Woo!
Elliott and I went to dev camp like every single day, so we're going to start with a conversation about that, and then Brian is going to join us later, and Brian, Elliott, and I are going to talk about the Samberg extension, the Wheeler buyout, and do a little summer sports roundup. But I've got Elliott with me now. Elliott, how you doing?
I'm good. Dev camp was fun last week. It was good to see everybody, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. I mean, like the vibes were sky high between the players, the fans. Everyone was just happy to be there because the pressure's off, right? In training camp, you're trying to make a roster spot, but in dev camp, you're just there to play hockey and have fun. And Jimmy,
get used to the coaching staff.
Exactly. They had a speech that it was all about relationships this week, and they clearly hammered that point home because that's like the biggest takeaway from outside of the stuff that happened on the ice. These guys are like forming friendships, and the culture that they're trying to instill, it's working, I'd say, at least.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
I think this is big, especially with them not having had dev camp in a while, obviously due to we know what happened in the world for a couple of years. Because I know on some platforms we can't say what it is. You know what I'm talking about. But also it not being back last year, I think this is huge for guys like McGordy, Lucius, guys that haven't had this experience yet.
Yeah.
That this is good for them. I think this builds character. You saw it right away. Colby Barlow and Rucker McGordy were already best buds hanging out.
Just
it seemed to be that they clicked instantly. Obviously, we know that their personalities are the same. We know what they've been labeled as. But
they're both future captains, but only one of them can be captain. So who's it going to be?
Unless one gets traded. But
which as a Jets podcast, we would be numb to that. Like obviously that would happen because that's what always happens, right?
Yeah. But I think this is just huge for them, for all these players, even for guys that maybe don't make the roster eventually. I think this is just good to start building from the ground up. I like what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, no, I agree. And in terms of the on ice stuff, the stuff that there's not like much we can take away. Like we're not going to make some big sweeping takeaways here from a July dev camp where prospects are just playing against each other in these like mini drills. But there are players that looked good and made plays and stood out more than others, right? So it's notable to say, because if that carries into training camp, that's huge. Like we're going to talk about Danny Zhilkin in a second here. If Danny Zhilkin, who looked great, and we'll get into it, but if he carries that into training camp, then it's notable, right? But if not, then it was just a good week in July kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But I'll let you go on Danny Zhilkin because we both were like filming clips and looking at drills, and every time someone would make a nice play, we'd be like, who is that? Oh, it's Zhilkin again. Number 56, Zhilkin again. It was just, he was making plays in every drill, his speed, whether it was stealing pucks. Yeah. What did you see from Zhilkin? Because we were both really impressed.
Just to start, if you didn't see our videos, plug the socials. I can't even point. Whichever way is, I don't know. Anyway, I'm trying to point and I don't know which way. Anyway, Zhilkin looked fantastic. I think the way in which he was moving, not just his speed, there were lots of times where he was just making the smarter play.
Yeah.
Like they were doing a drill on the last day. I believe it was the last day. You can correct me whichever day it was, where they're putting the puck into the corner and a defenseman and a forward are going to go battle for it in the corner, and you had to try to fight for it. And if you're the forward, you're trying to score. If you're the defenseman, you're just trying to clear it out. Every single time, all the other players, I don't want to name drop, but I'm going to, guys like Colby Barlow, who are younger, who are used to just being able to go at the puck, hit somebody, make a play that way. We're trying to do that, and he was matched up against Tyrell Bauer. That didn't go very well, as you.
Tyrell Bauer's a grown man. He's like 6'4", 200 pounds. Like, I don't blame Colby Barlow. We said that. We were like, I don't blame him.
I don't blame him.
Losing every puck battle here, but
he's used to going at somebody, making a hit, making a play, and getting the puck.
Right.
Zhilkin, obviously, we know that he has been around for a couple of years. He's developed, but he was making the smarter play by even he did this against Bauer too, and he beat Bauer at one point where he was watching where the puck was going, and he would wait for the defender to make a move, and then that's when he picked his angle to try and get at the puck. So if the defenseman came this way, instead of going at the defender, he was coming the other way and then trying to get in front and shield the puck away. It was just, that was the best example I can give, that he was just being the smarter, better player. It wasn't just that he was faster. It wasn't that he looked like, obviously he did look like he had good hands. He scored a couple really nice goals, like couple greasy ones, couple more fancy goals, but overall he just looked like, and I don't, you can disagree with me if you want, Connor, but I think he did look like the best player at the camp.
Right. I would agree as well. And like we said before, it's a dev camp in July.
Yeah.
So we're not saying Danny Jokin's better than Brad Lambert, but
no.
we're saying that it's notable. And if this carries on into training camp and Danny Jokin makes the Jets next year or something crazy happens, then it's notable that, back in dev camp is when it started, when he started to look great, right? So I agree.
I
think over the stretch, he put in the most consistent performance in all the drills, all the scrimmages, all that.
Yeah. Disclaimer out there, we're not saying like this is either one-on-one drills or drills like you. If you saw our social media, they're all simple drills, and they played 3-on-3 full ice once.
Yeah,
and in small space, and in a quote unquote small spaces once.
Yeah,
we are not taking anything from that other than they looked good in those areas.
Exactly.
Because like I said, Colby Barlow, and we'll get into it a little bit later, didn't look the best, but I'm not saying that he is a quote unquote bust, or I'm not really taking anything from it until we see him in more 5-on-5 ice time, and if we see him develop more.
Yeah,
I'm not taking anything else other than Jokin looked good for those 4 days in the drills that the Jets did, or the Jets coaching staff did, and the development team for that 4 days.
And outside of Naring and Levis, like everyone has a year or two on Barlow at this camp, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about it in the puck battle drill. Tyrell Bauer is the defenseman he's going against. Tyrell Bauer has a full season of pro experience, and he's like a big grown man defenseman. Like that I don't blame Barlow for not being able to win a puck battle, because that's
obviously
what
he was frustrated. Like
he was
getting mad.
But no, back to Jokin. You talked about him waiting and being patient and then cutting the defender off in those puck battle drills. And it's nice to see these traits that you see in NHL games in a guy that's 19 years old at dev camp in July. Like, it's like some random drill, but you're like, I see Mark Stone do that in the Stanley Cup Finals all the time. I see Matthew Tkachuk do that, where they don't just go and hit the guy. They wait for the defenseman to make a move and then step in front, and they get the puck instead of just a hit on the like they step in and steal it. And he's in the draft process, he was labeled as a two-way center, defensively smart, and that definitely showed up.
Yeah.
But I personally was most impressed with the offensive skill. Like, he was just making incredible moves, incredible passes. He had some really nice shots that he scored on. Like, he's just a playmaker. And then
the final play of dev camp was probably his most complete play of the like, it showed him being a two-way center. I'll give you credit. You filmed that. That was nuts.
So just for people who didn't see it, I'll explain it. It was the Team Blue pulled their goalie, so it was a 4-on-3, and Team White is playing like a triangle penalty kill, and Jokin is the one at the top, and Lambert and Anton Johannesson are trying to go back and forth and pass the puck across the top. Jokin deflects the first one, and then Johannesson tries to go back to Lambert, and Jokin steals it, gets up. Someone chips it off the wall, or maybe it wasn't Johannesson, whatever. It was Lambert for sure. But someone chips it off the wall. He wins the race all the way down the ice to beat out like an icing. There was no refs, but it would have been icing. He beats out the icing and then wraps it around for the win into the empty net.
Didn't he also block a shot on that same position? I thought he blocked a shot there too.
No, or
was that a different possession? It may have been different. He also blocked a shot, I thought.
Yeah. He stole the puck and then it ended up under him, and he like got up. Someone else chipped the puck out and then he won the race. I was like, that's just a ridiculous play. And it's like, it's dev camp, but like,
it's dev camp in July, but it's still like, holy, are you kidding me? You just did that?
Yeah.
At dev camp?
And like, Lambert and McGroarty were on the ice for Team Blue. Like, it's not like he was just doing this against some prospects that you're never going to hear. Like, those guys were on the ice trying to score a goal for Blue. So it's definitely notable, and he made some really nice plays. But yeah, I think that I wanted to headline with Danny Zhilkin because he was definitely the standout for both of us. We both agreed that he just made a million plays. And he flooded everyone's Twitter timelines, especially from me and you. We were spamming, but other people too were saying, "Oh, I went to dev camp this one day and Danny Zhilkin looked great," or whatever, right? So it wasn't just us that noticed him. And yeah, I have a lot. We've pumped his tires a lot on this podcast for a 3rd round pick.
But it's
warranted.
It's worth
warranted.
It. Yeah, because he has looked that good. Like it's just mind-boggling that people want to say that, oh, you really should only hit on your 1st round picks. Well, no, you should probably try to hit on all 7 of your picks.
Yeah.
It's just decreasing the chance every pick that it happens. But you are going to hit on the 3rd round pick. So the thing that I saw the entire week was don't sleep on Zhilkin, or don't count him out, or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. Another standout for me, and I think Mike McIntyre on the first day tweeted about this too, and a lot of people did on day 4 because that's when he really dominated and really impressed, was Nikita Chibrikov.
Yeah.
I don't think he skated on day 3. I didn't see him.
No, I'm assuming that he did not skate.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened there. I didn't read anything. I don't think anyone asked about it, but whatever, just a day off, I guess.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of Ehlers tendencies. I'll just to kind of relate it to a current Jets player. Like, he's very fast. He's dynamic with the puck on his stick.
He's not afraid either.
No, not afraid. And his shot on day 4, especially, he did this little curl and drag and hit the crossbar on one. And then what was it, like 30 seconds later?
Yeah, he curl and
the exact same spot. Blocker side again, beats Milic over the shoulder.
And Milic didn't even move. Like, we're pointing this out because Milic, it's not like Milic tried to make a save. Milic didn't move. Like, that puck went from Chibrikov's stick to the back of the net in, oh my God, I don't even know how fast that was.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I think I was trying to film it, and I was trying to move from Chibrikov to the net, and I think I missed it going in the net, and then that was that. Like,
no, he's a dynamic offensive talent, and that really showed, especially in the scrimmage things. And what I was most impressed with was they did these short area, like 1-on-1s and 2-on-2s, and that's arguably where he looked the best. And like, if you think of a player like Nikolai Ehlers, who is a great skater and dynamic with the puck on their stick, in a short area battle, they're theoretically going to lose to whoever they're playing. Like, Rucker McGroarty would dominate a short area battle, right? Because it's on the wall. He's a big guy, net front presence kind of thing. But no, Chibrikov is what, like 5'9"?
Oh,
5'10"? And he was dominating the short area battles. He was making moves in close. He scored like the most goals, I think. They did a little 2-on-2 short area thing. And him and was it Knightsev or Kniziev? How do you say his last name? The trade from Gavanka. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm sorry, but
we'll have to we will figure it out.
Yes, but they both looked great. I'm giving him props.
Yeah.
They both looked great. And then Chibrikov, again, you're not going to get much defensively from him because he's a small winger. But if I saw a lot of Ehlers tendencies, I'm not saying he's going to be Ehlers, but that's just the kind of style he plays. And it's a dynamic and fun style of play to watch because he was incredible. On day 4, he made a lot of plays.
He got lots of oohs and ahs. So
for sure. Yeah. And go ahead.
No, I was just saying he's listed at 5'9", 160.
Okay. Yeah.
It could be
accurate.
Way less than that. Like, to me, he might be 5'8", 155.
Well, I think
maybe the 160. He is a little bit bigger. I think that also helps. Yes, he's not super tall, but he's a little bit more built than you'd think he is. And so I think he's deceptively strong.
I think Ehlers is 6 feet, 160 or like 165. I could be wrong, but I'm drawing a lot of parallels here. And we are high on Nikolai Ehlers on this podcast, but that's what I saw from Chibrikov.
Ooh, you're close.
What was it?
6 foot, 172.
172.
But at his height, 172 does make Ehlers does look thinner though.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to think about it in terms of what your height is, the height weight ratio. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, that's just what I saw from Chibrikov was Ehlers. If he was wearing 27 with Ehlers on the back, I would not have been surprised because what they do on the ice, the moves that they make are very, very similar. And it should excite Jets fans because he's a second round pick, put up good production. And if he can come in and he's kind of an X factor in the Jets prospect pool because you have Lambert, you have McGroarty, you have Lucius, who, if he's healthy, we're pretty high on him. And then we just talked about Danny Jokin for 15 minutes. If Chibrikov can also develop into like a top 6 winger or like a middle 6 winger that puts up great offensive numbers, the prospect pool is looking pretty good, right? Like if he flops, the prospect pool will still be fine with Barlow and all the guys I just mentioned. But if Chibrikov is also able to develop on top of all of that, they're kind of playing with house money there. I don't know. I don't know if you agree, but
I think this prospect pool, it could be or is deeper than some people think it is.
Yeah.
I'm of that mindset.
Right?
That's most people
look
think
at the first round picks
Yeah.
and go, okay, they have 3 or 4 Barlow, Lucius, McGroarty, Lambert, and that's like their prospect pool. But no, like late round picks can hit, and we were incredibly impressed by Zhilkin and Chibrikov, just like that. Well, those aren't late round, but you know what I mean. It's
late the mid round picks. Like I would still consider a second round pick an early pick.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The second round picks hit quite frequently. It's once you get
Dylan
into like
Samberg, who we will talk about later.
Yep.
Once we get Brian in here.
And I know this isn't. He didn't have a great camp, but Connor and I both agreed as the week went on. We also saw things from Zach Naring that we thought,
bring him up.
that he was a third round pick from this past year. And I think we need to remember we were thinking we don't know he's going to be much anyway, blah blah blah. But we have to remember he played high school this past year. Like he was just playing against guys that were like 3 to 4 years older than him. So for him to be 18 years old and actually not that far off from turning 18, his birthday's March 7th.
Yeah.
So like he's not been 18 for very long, and he just played against guys that are in like under 23 age range.
Yeah.
And he didn't look outstanding, but he looked like he belonged there.
Yeah.
So Connor and I were saying throughout the camp that I think that he could turn into something. Obviously, we don't think he's going to be this first line dominant power forward center.
He is Mark Stone already.
But you're not always going to get all these high profile hits, right? Yep. You need guys that fill out the rest of your roster. And I think that's what Naring is. I think Naring is a third bottom 6 center that's a little bit more power forward-ish, that has a little bit of offensive upside.
Yeah.
I think he kind of plays into that style, which you need guys like that. And that's what you use those late round picks on. Use those top picks to try to hit on top tier talent, and you use the rest of the picks to try to find guys that fit into your style of play in your roster. So that was another name I was going to mention.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him because I was going to bring him up as well. The first couple days, like you said, didn't really notice much, but then it was the 3-on-3 session that they did on day 3, the full ice 3-on-3, where I was really impressed because you couldn't really see the skating the first couple days. Like you could see it in spurts, but he had some plays in the 3-on-3 scrimmage where he just burned all the way down the ice and ended up with a breakaway. I think
he had a break. I filmed a breakaway goal.
Yeah, he had 3 or 4 like breakaway / driving to the net, beat a guy to the net chances where like he's using his skating to get to the net. And for a guy that's 6'3", I was really impressed with the way he moved his feet. I don't know. I wasn't looking for much out of him because I didn't really know what kind of prospect he was. I mean, that pick was kind of out of left field for the Jets. No one really knew like what to expect from him, but a 6'3" guy that moved the way that we saw him move at Dev Camp, I'm excited as well. Like it's going to be a while, but I'm excited.
But even if he's a long-term prospect that only is sniffing the Jets roster at 23, 24 is fine. Because guys in your bottom 6, you kind of really only want to you kind of want to not replace, but you kind of want to be mixing and matching those pieces every couple of years. So if he's a longer term prospect for the Jets, and he not sort of hits, but he hits on what we think his ceiling is. Obviously, if he's more than that, that's fantastic.
Right.
But what we're thinking his ceiling is his bottom 6 center that has a little bit of offensive upside, but is more of a bigger forward that kind of kills penalties, is more of a two-way guy. I think that's great. Yeah, his goal that I was able to capture on the breakaway, good skating. His hands looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Like at 6'3", his length was quite long. Like he went from side to side and went backhanded. He like I heard the ping like that. He roofed it. Like it was. It wasn't like it squeaked in or it was like, oh, that was kind of gross. Like it was. Oh, that was really nice. That was a good play. So I think he was another name that I think that if you weren't there every day, you'd probably not see his progression. But he looked better every single day we were there. He looked more. I know by day 4 we were looking for him because we saw that he was progressing.
Right.
But he looked better every day, that's what the point of dev camp is.
Exactly. Yeah. And you talked about NHL like traits with Zhilkin, where he waits with the patience, and then steals the puck. An NHL like trait I saw with Naring was he's 6'3", he's got the long reach. And a couple times in scrimmages or the short area battles, he does the thing where he like hides his stick to an extent. Like his stick is shorter than he's not extending it all the time looking for a poke check. It's shorter. So then a forward who's trying to make a move on thinks they have more room than he does. And then he pokes and they don't realize that he has a long reach. Boom, pucks off his stick, right? You see NHL defensemen, I know he's a forward. But you see defensemen do that all the time off the rush, where their stick is farther back than it should be to give the illusion that the forwards have more room to move, and then they just poke it. That's like a weird NHL trait, like the Jokin one that I saw. I was just like, I see that happen all the time in training camp, in Jets games. That's something that NHL players do. Yeah. And a guy who just turned 18, like you said, to have a trait like that you don't have to teach him. Him being able to use his long reach already, and you don't have to develop that aspect of his game. That's huge. Yeah. So, I agree with everything you said. He progressed well. He looked better. His skating was noticeable, to say the least. It was good in a good way. Noticeable in a good way. Is there anyone else? I mean, the goalies were good. They weren't like, oh my God, DiVincentis hasn't let in a goal today type of good. I don't know.
Or, oh my God, they can't stop a beach ball either.
But the goalies are getting shot on from the high slot in every single drill. So it's every single shot is a high danger chance. And again, goalies are weird. It's hard to scout goalies and watch them oh, DiVincentis doesn't really push off his right foot well. It's no, I'm not really watching for that.
If they're making saves, it's noticeable. Or if they can't stop the
goalies played great. I thought Milic made a few nice saves in the scrimmages. So did DiVincentis on some breakaways. Besides the goalies, maybe was there anyone else that really stood out to you?
I mean, I was also going to say Logan Neaton actually had a couple nice saves. I will shout him out. He actually, and after not having played very much in college, I have to say against guys that are potentially playing in the NHL at some point,
he's a big goalie.
He was quite large.
Standing next to Milic and DiVincentis, who are both smaller goalies, stereotypically smaller goalies. But Neaton's 6'4", I think 6'4", 200 pounds. So he looked bigger than those two for sure.
And he moved not too bad. But other than Neaton, I don't think there was anybody I think Rucker McGroarty, I know we haven't mentioned his name a lot. I think when we got into 3-on-3 situations and full ice stuff, he looked and in the small area battles, he looked much more in his element. I will say when they were doing the regular one-on-one drills or this and that, anything that wasn't physical, I know that's not his style, but he obviously looked out of place.
Yeah.
He did not look great.
His skating is getting there though.
Yeah.
I will say when he was doing the speed test, and a ton of people on Twitter were saying this too, because that was the biggest knock on McGroarty coming out. It was his stride was weird. The first couple steps are choppy kind of thing. When he was doing the speed test where you're stationary and you've got to skate 3/4 of the ice, in as quick as you possibly can, I'd say his stride looked better. And a lot of people on Twitter were saying that too. It's a process. He's going back to Michigan next year.
Yeah.
He probably won't be on the Jets till the year after that. And then in a big role until the year after that. So we're a long ways away from Rucker McGordy playing 18 minutes a night for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that his stride, which was the one thing that is like, oh, if he can fix his stride, he'll be a top 6 forward at the NHL level. That is developing.
Yeah.
And that's good to see.
And that's something that you can fix. That's something you can work on as long as the player is willing to work on it, which I will say that McGordy is probably more than with his personality is more than willing to work on stuff.
He just seems more than willing to live life. Just do anything. Just
but I think that's why we say that dev camp isn't the be all end all.
Yeah.
Because some guys don't look great in drills and they're going to look great in scrimmage stuff. That's why I say like a Colby Barlow, he looked more in his element. Same with McGordy. As soon as we got to 3-on-3, it was more game stuff. Those guys looked much more like themselves. They looked like they were actually part of the play. They didn't look like they were struggling.
Right.
Some guys are drill guys. Like, I hate to bring it back to me, but I was never a guy that looked very well. But here's my thing. I was never a guy that looked very good in drills. Like I was always afraid when I went to tryouts for
You're
stuff.
a game action guy.
I'll tell you this right now. We used to take specific shots in practice, and obviously I'd take them in games, right? Or we'd be scrimmaging the day before a game on a Thursday. We'd play on the Friday. I'd take the same shots I did in both the practice and the game. I'd go 0 for 5 in practice, couldn't make a thing, and then the game I'd go 4 for 5, and that would happen every single week. And I can't tell you why that is. Or why, or how that happens.
A game action guy. That's all it is.
That's why when people go way overboard about development camp and training camp, and this guy doesn't look good, it's like, okay, well, some guys don't do well in drills or stuff that isn't a game. Some guys fit better and they look better in game, but that's why you scout them. You don't scout them for, oh, this player's really good in this one drill that we do, so we're gonna draft him. No, you draft him because he can play 5-on-5 hockey in an actual game scenario, right? So that's why we don't take much from this.
I should have come to a few of your practices and been like, this guy's a bust. He doesn't know how to play.
You wouldn't be the first one. So I'll tell you that much right now. I'll tell you that right now. You would not be the first person to do that.
That's funny. But you make a good point. That's why development camp is it's something for us to talk about at the end of the day. In the dead air part of the off season. It's something.
The only good thing that you can actually take from it is the stuff we said at the beginning, the personality and the off ice stuff. That is what you can take from dev camp. How did that go?
Exactly. And quickly before I'll wrap it up with the off ice stuff again, just because I want to say a few things about McGordy. But quickly, Lambert looked great. He looked like Brad Lambert using his speed. Elias Salomonsson, I was impressed with. We didn't watch the defense on day one, but every other day, he's a really smooth skater for his size, and he's the best prospect on defense that the Jets have right now. So that's notable that he looked really good. I don't really know who else. Lucius, he didn't even skate with the forwards because he was wearing non-contact until day 3.
Which was weird.
Drills, he looked fine in the drills, but I don't know, if he wasn't healthy enough to even do non-contact drills, like just warm-up drills with the group, or they just wanted.
If you saw the video that they posted about Mike Keane, Keane was asking him when he was doing that drill, "Are you good? We don't want you doing this if you don't feel 100% good to do it." Which I'm assuming that's why because Connor and I were talking about it just quickly before we wrap things up. Because I know people will ask about it. We were kind of sitting there thinking lots of these drills, especially on day 1 and 2, didn't have anything to do with contact. So I don't understand why it wasn't until day 3 he went into one drill and one drill only, and that was that. Now, after watching that video where Mike Keane was talking to him, which I don't know about you, but I didn't realize he was there. Mike Keane.
I did. I ran into him a few times at Moose games, so I recognize his face, not in a Moose jersey or in a hockey jersey.
I recognize him with his bucket on, but I don't.
And all of the coaches on the ice were Moose coaches. Like Mark Morrison ran dev camp, Nolan Baumgartner, Eric Dubois, So I recognized most of the coaches just
Either
because
way.
been around them.
Either way, it's just weird to me that Lucius only did the one drill. Now it's a little bit more, makes a little bit more sense in my head now that we saw the video where Mike Keane was saying, I don't want you doing this drill if you're not 100%, if the shoulder doesn't feel good, which it could have been that one day he felt good and the other days he didn't feel great to do other stuff. And that's why he was on the ice for 20 minutes and then off.
I mean, we're talking about how kind of useless dev camp is. Imagine how the Jets organization feels. They're literally strictly there for building relationships, and that is it. Like that, there are no takeaways. They'll make takeaways at training camp. Honestly, if McGroarty and Lambert look amazing in training camp, then dev camp doesn't matter at all, right?
Yeah.
If Barlow forces his way into the top 6 in training camp, dev camp doesn't matter at all, right? So, like, if we think, oh, you can't really take much from dev camp, I'm sure the Jets organization is like, I don't care. Make sure Lucius is healthy for training camp because that's what matters. And if he's not good to go, we're just going to throw him in a yellow jersey and that'll be that. And he'll just hang out with the guys and form relationships, right?
Yeah.
And one last thing on the off ice, the relationships. At the end of every single session, Rutger McGroarty, Thomas Milic, Logan Neaton, Colby Barlow, these guys would go on the walkway where all the fans are standing. And I posted a few times of McGroarty doing this, especially. People would come up, ask for an autograph. They would be totally down. You want a photo as well? Oh, yeah, let's take a photo. Someone would come up and just spark a conversation. They don't want an autograph or a photo. They're just talking to Rutger McGroarty just because.
Like, hey, how's camp? That.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's great. Did you see me do the beep test out there? I'm tired. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Off to the next person. Oh, you want a photo? You want an autograph as well? It's like these guys are either incredibly media trained or they have like the best personalities of hockey players that you could script. Yeah. Like they are the nicest players and prospects I've seen come out. Like we just stood on the side and watched them do all this because
we were trying to evaluate this sounds a little silly, but we were trying to evaluate character and to see if what's been said is true. And
and I get it. Dev camp, the pressure's off. Training camp, like you're fighting for a spot. There's pressure. And it's easy for them to do this, but they don't have to. Like they could totally just sign a few autographs and then walk to the dressing room and no one would really bat an eye. But because
a couple guys did that, we won't name names, but
it's very notable that McGroarty stayed for 15 minutes on the walkway after every session and got to every single fan. Like it's just nice to see like these young kids, really, like they're 18 or 17, have all this character and like these leadership skills that you would think they would learn over the course of their time in the NHL, right?
Like you'd expect that from somebody like a Blake Wheeler, which we know he has, but we expect that from Blake Wheeler because he's been in the league that long.
Right.
I'm not really like, I'm kind of expecting Rutger McGroarty to kind of walk. Obviously we knew he has a personality and he's a good guy, but I was kind of expecting him to go, hey, how's it going, everybody? Yeah. Maybe sign one or two and go, okay, you know what? I'm going to go like, this is too much. I'm going to keep walking. Nope. It was like boom, 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 boom.
And every single day. It wasn't like day one and then like day two. Oh, I'm tired of this. It was like every single day they stopped for every single fan. It was, I think that's the biggest takeaway.
I think they also could have learned just from being themselves, like when they were younger. And whenever a player could have stopped and signed an autograph or talked to them, I think that's what they're also trying to do. They're trying to build on, hey, I don't know them, but I know I've heard stories of current players now. There are guys that like Jason Tatum who got to meet. Like I think there was that story with Kevin Durant where he got to meet Kevin Durant and talk to Kevin Durant. There's the one with Trae Young. Like guys like that go, okay, this happened to me when I was younger. I don't want to be a you know what and not do this to somebody else because one, I may have to play them in the league one day, and I want them to use that as motivation against me. But also, it's just the cool thing to do, and it makes a moment for somebody, right? And so I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, you're right. The fans will never forget it. These kids that are getting a photo with Rutger McGroarty or getting an autograph. If McGroarty plays 15 years, even if he doesn't, like if he plays 15 years with the Jets and is the future captain of the team, they forever have a photo with Rutger McGroarty when they were 8 years old or whatever, however old the kids are that are taking these photos. And that's like a lifetime memory. And to do that at like development camp where it's like it's not really anything, like it's not training camp, right? It's special to see because the fans just love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I think that's it for dev camp. I mean,
Yeah.
we wrapped that up pretty well. We've got some other things to talk about. I see Brian in the waiting room. We're gonna hear a word from our sponsors, and then we're gonna get into Samberg. We're gonna get into Wheeler. We're gonna do a little summer sports roundup and anything else that comes up about the Jets. So stick around after a word from our sponsors.
All right. So, there's various different sports going on, but right now you got things, like the MLB, you got different things that you can, check out on DraftKings Sportsbook. So new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. Just bet $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER in Massachusetts. Call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. In West Virginia, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. All games are regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In partnership with the Hollywood Casino and Charlestown Races. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. One boost per eligible game, opt-in required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms.
And welcome back to episode 38 of the Level Flip Podcast. We've got Brian here now. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Coming off a Goldeyes win, which we'll talk about later, but,
yes, we will.
Puts me in a better mood.
Yeah, we'll wrap the episode with that. But there are actual Jets news besides Dev Camp for us to get to. Blake Wheeler was bought out and then quickly signed with the New York Rangers. And then we'll get into the Dylan Samberg extension after that. But Brian, I'll start with you. What were your initial thoughts on, like, were you shocked that Wheeler was bought out at all? And then were you shocked at where he went, New York?
Not shocked at all that he was bought out. Like, it felt like it was brewing, and we had heard the chatter about it for a couple weeks prior as well. So it was really just a matter of when, because that was the last day of the buyout window.
Right.
So it was just, I think it was probably decided like a week or two ago, but the Jets put out a video of him talking, a thank you video. So it was probably a lot of, let's, go through this process with Wheeler and his family, because he's been here for the full tenure of the franchise. He's the last, Atlanta Thrasher to actually play for this team. So it truly is the end of an era. And, there's a lot of reasons that we can, on the ice, there was things that changed in his game that, maybe didn't jive as well with us. But what we have to acknowledge is he was really the Winnipeg Jets for the first, major portion of the stint here before the torch was kind of passed. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't shocking. I think it was done well. Because it's hard to, part with a player who's been with you for so long, and he was your former captain and built his family here. He's had, he's got 3 kids now. They live here, I'm pretty sure, year round. So it's a tough situation in terms of the people aspect of it, but business wise, it was the decision to make. And then in terms of where he signed, it never really shocks me when Jets end up in the Rangers organization. I think it's honestly, considering he's still getting the buyout money from us, and he's probably banked quite a bit of it recently. That 800,000 is going to seem sweet for what he can do. I think as long as he stays middle 6, maybe third line, I think that's going to be a great value deal for the Rangers. I think, though, if you start putting him in the top 6, then you start seeing the same issues that we saw here, because it showed very clearly, as the last couple of years here, that he was no longer that top 6 force that he used to be. But if you put him on, third line with some of that talent that the Rangers have, suddenly that lineup's a lot deeper. So,
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, and he can go hang out with Trouba now. So,
Yeah, the old Jets leadership group. There it is.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I don't know if we want to say that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to say old leadership group. I don't think that's very good. We know what was going on there. But either way, I think just to keep it nice and short and sweet, it was what needed to be done. A trade obviously wasn't going to happen. So you got to buy him out, right? So it is what it is. He had some good years here. He obviously did good for the community for his entire tenure.
Mm-hmm.
He was still known as the captain. Most people were still assuming that even though he didn't wear the C, he was still the main leader of the group. So, like Brian said, it's a change. It's a new guard, and I think the Jets need it. Their window has passed. They tried to capitalize on it. Didn't work out, and it is what it is. I'm sure he'll have some fun over in New York.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I would hope I hope he keeps a house here. I hope he doesn't sell his home. I hope that he calls Winnipeg home now. But if he doesn't, obviously, if he moves around, if he goes back to Minnesota once his career is over, obviously, I understand that. That's where you're from. Yeah. But I, like Brian said, I think him playing as a middle six, third line right winger, and being just you play him 12, 13 minutes a night, I think is perfect. Yeah. I think once you play him more, you start to see the deficiencies. If you put him next to a shooter, I think he will produce just fine. That 800,000 is going to be just it'll be like how we thought Sam Gagne's contract was going to be last year, where he contributed quite a bit and you get value out of the contract, and that's that.
I'm curious to see what happens on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That will be
interesting.
They have a few UFAs,
for the most part.
the Jets.
Yeah.
I don't know. We shall see.
I mean, they can do like a Paul Stastny and keep bringing him back.
Yeah.
And then trade for him and trade him away.
We'll do a remaining free agents at some point soon because we're in that dead part of the summer where you might go weeks without any NHL news, and then suddenly random guys will get signed, get traded. So that'll come later on. But no, we have that, in the works.
Yeah. To go back to the Wheeler thing, I feel bad that he wasn't bought out like 3 or 4 days earlier, because then he would have got a $4 million, a 1 year $4 million from the Blackhawks, trying to get to the cap floor, and he can play alongside Connor Bedard for a season.
And Taylor Hall.
Yeah. And Taylor Hall. There you go.
Yeah, that would have been right there. That would have been a great first line.
That's honestly.
And then they've got like 4 other players after that.
Yeah.
Andreas Athanasiou.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Taylor Hall to be a speedster, Bedard to be Bedard, and Wheeler to be a passer and just stand there and feed it to Bedard. Honestly, not even terrible. You could do worse. You definitely could do worse.
Yeah, it's like they did. They would probably score 3-4 goals a game and would only lose 9-4.
Yeah. No kidding.
And tank for the next first overall.
Next year's, exactly.
Oh wait, nobody tanks in the AHL.
Right.
I like Connor Bedard, but man, the fact that he went to the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Downfall. Preying on it.
Preying on his downfall.
Not his downfall, the organization's.
Yeah.
Well, he could be like Connor McDavid in the first couple of years with Edmonton, where like he's just killing everybody and the rest of the team just sucks.
I think
it's like the Trout and Ohtani thing in baseball, where it's like they set records. It's like, Shohei Ohtani did this first thing since like Boots McGraw in 1927, as the Angels go on to lose 12-3.
Yeah, or he leads every single category, and they're still like on both sides of the ball, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, there was a game a couple weeks ago. He had like 2 homers and 10 Ks in the same game,
and they lost.
They lost. So like that encapsulates that tweet perfectly, where it's like, Shohei Ohtani is the first player since the 1700s to hit 2 homers in a game and throw for 10 strikeouts, and the Angels went on to lose. It's like, how does that?
And they got blown out. It wasn't even close.
Blown out. Yeah. Oh,
and he only gets 2 RBIs because there was nobody on base. Like,
yeah.
Listen, we might have to just launch our own wing of Level Flight, just the baseball side of it.
Oh yeah. And we just talk about how good Ohtani is. I'm down.
It'll be called Gone Fishing. It's mainly about the Goldeyes, but what we'll do is we'll just turn it into a baseball pod. Talk about how the Jays got no hit by the fucking Tigers.
Yeah.
And the Twins don't know how to go on a long winning streak other than to win 2 games, lose 2 games, and stay around 500.
Yeah, but at least Carlos Correa can actually hit now out of the leadoff spot.
The rest of the lineup can't hit. The rest of the lineup can't hit.
Okay.
It'd also be nice if Royce Lewis could actually string together more than 10 games, because he'd probably actually be hitting like 300, but it's fine.
Yeah. Anyways, we've gone way too far off topic.
Way too far. Wheeler to MLB.
When we get into the Twins lineup, we've gone way too far off topic.
Listen, I don't show up on the pod enough anymore for it to stay straight on topic. So I got to come in here and disturb things.
When all three of us are here, it's just, it's a mess.
Chaos.
It's the best.
All right. Unless we have anything else on Wheeler, let's move on to Dylan Samberg. 2-year extension at $1.4 million per season. I'll start with you again, Brian. What were your guys' thoughts? I saw a lot of people saying they wanted them to go long term, but me personally, I'll just say from Samberg's perspective, this is a deal where for 2 years he's betting on himself, and then the cap is going to jump big time in 2 years, and he's going to be 26 at that point. That's his big payday. This deal makes a lot of sense from Samberg's side. And then the Jets, obviously, you're getting who I think is a top 4 defenseman starting next season. He's killed it in sheltered minutes. I think he could play in the top 4 at $1.4 million for the next 2 years. That's a really good value. But Brian, what were your initial thoughts when you saw the deal?
Yeah, I think you said it well, where it's for Samberg, this is a great, bet on yourself opportunity. For the Jets, though, I think it was great value for those 2 years, but it was too short.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, there's a chance that he doesn't make that jump and start playing top 4 minutes consistently. And, he's shown in his minutes that he is going to be someone who adds surplus value, as Connor has put. If you're watching on YouTube, he's got the Dylan Samberg player card. And with the Athletics model, he has provided the Jets with $5.9 million in surplus value. So even with his new contract, if he performs at that level, he's still going to be providing, close to, $3.5 million in surplus.
Yeah.
So that's someone you want to have locked in for a while. But I mean, there's always the case where if you put him into top 4 minutes, maybe his game, declines a little. And he did well in his top 4 minutes this season. He's had to fill in with some injuries, and he did that. But for a full season, I'd be interested to see it. That said, everything that I've seen indicates that he should succeed based on how his game is. And if that's the case, you're going to get to the end of that 2-year contract, and suddenly you're going to go, oh, he's going to need more money. And then the value changes. And then I know obviously the cap goes up, so it becomes a little bit more easy to manage, but then you can't be, he's not exactly flashy.
No.
So then there becomes the hesitance of, do we pay a not flashy, rock solid defender who just does things right, but it's not going to, light things up, when we should have paid him, earlier. It's going to be tougher to, lock that down. But no, too short.
Yeah, that's a great point, because defensive defensemen don't get paid that much, like relative to market value. Like Dylan DeMello at $3 million for the past 3 years has been an absolute steal for the Jets. Does he put up points? No. Well, I guess last year.
Well, this year.
Yeah, I guess he kind of did.
Elite offensive contributor.
We said that was Bonus's best accomplishment as Jets head coach, was getting, 20 points out of Dylan DeMello. Anyway,
I would have said Josh Morrissey's season this season, but
no, DeMello's more impressive. Guaranteed. No, but guys like that just don't get paid a lot on the open market just because of the reasons you said, because they're not flashy. They don't put up 1 million points. And you need those players. You need Dylan DeMellos. You need Dylan Samberg, who are pure shutdown guys and are solely there to keep the puck out of the net. That's what defensemen are there for. He's a pure shutdown defenseman. He can skate really well. Maybe he'll add a little offensive flair these next 2 years. Elliott's cooking over there. But Elliott, what were your initial thoughts when you saw this deal?
I do just want to point out that on his athletic card, I love how his role says press box. But
because when that was made, he was still rotating in and out of the lineup with Logan Stanley.
Yeah,
insanity,
which is hilarious,
ridiculous. Yeah,
when's he getting traded?
He requested a trade at the deadline.
Well,
I
don't we
know.
have to re-sign him now, or he's an RFA?
He's an RFA.
Yeah. Well, how about we just don't qualify him and let him go?
They
Anyway,
did qualify him. They did. Yeah, they threw him out.
Anyway,
Anyways,
back to Dylan Samberg, a good defenseman. When it comes to that contract, I think that I agree. I would have liked a 4-year deal somewhere around there, even if you have to pay him like 2.5 instead of 1.4. Even at 2.5, I think that's great value at 4. But yeah, I think it's good. I think that the term is too short, and I think that the money's good. Like at 1.4, that's like what, a $500K increase to what he's currently making. Like that's unreal to me. But it is what it is. I don't think the Jets are looking to. I have a feeling that they want to do what they did with guys like DeMello, what they're going to do with Samberg, where they just want to keep going 2-3 for all these defensive defensemen, because they don't put up huge flashy numbers and they don't do anything crazy. So I think, but Samberg's 20. You got to remember, Samberg's 24. It would have been nice to get him on a long-term deal, to get him into like. No,
24 to 30 is his prime.
I'm assuming he's not an RFA after this contract is up. Then he would be.
I think he might.
I'm checking like right now,
because you know what,
one more year. Like he's up, and that is his last year of RFA, I believe. Could be wrong.
Dylan Samberg. No, he would be an RFA, and you know what? I wonder if that's why the Jets did 2 years
instead of 3, because 3 walks him right into UFA if he wants to leave.
And that's probably why they did that, because then they at least have him for one more season, and they can quote unquote, not like they will.
I would have done 5. Bring him to 9, because at that point you get him through his formative years. And then at that point you'll have a better handle on whether or not you're competitive in, whatever year that is, and then you can figure out if you need to, extend him longer, or at that point is it if he's lived up to it. But signing a 24-year-old defenseman to a 5-year deal to take him through to 29 after he just posted a fantastic season, I don't think would have been the worst bet.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying from the Jets' perspective, I think their thought is, well, let's get him 2 years. We still have 1 year of team control left. He's arbitration eligible. We can deal with either arbitration or qualifying him. And then we still have his rights if we can't deal with him after that. Right. So I'm sure that's what their thinking is. And that's, I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's what there is. But I agree with you, Brian. I think that if they had gone 4 or 5 years, get Samberg to a point of, okay, we know what he is at this point, then you can either trade him before the contract is up, or once that contract is up, you can, or in the final year, you can kind of make a look and see if it's worth keeping around. Now, I'm sure the dollar amount would have been up for a 4 or 5 year deal, like 4 years at 2.5 or 5 years that I would expect that Samberg would probably ask for $4 million at 5 years, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, because he's betting on himself with this deal. I agree with you guys that they should have gone long term, but then again, from Samberg's perspective and his agent, a 2-year deal makes sense. Bet on yourself. And there is like things to be weary about. Is that yes, he killed it in a sheltered role, but maybe in, like you guys said, over an 82 game sample in a top 4 role, he doesn't play as well, or his analytics aren't that great now. A more forward thinking organization might have gone 6 years. But the Jets haven't shown us that recently to, extend guys for, you see that all the time. Tim Stützle, Jack Hughes, right out of their ELC, teams are going 8 years, and they're getting value on those contracts. Like Jack Hughes is a top 10 player in the league now, getting paid $8 million, right? That's like a Nathan McKinnon contract. And that's what forward thinking organizations do. Now, I'm not saying they're missing out on the next Victor Hedman by not extending Dylan Samberg for 8 years, but I'm saying a Colorado or a Tampa Bay probably would have gone 6 or 7 years with Samberg and just bet on the fact that the analytics he posted in a sheltered role, he can also do in an elevated role. Now the Jets like to see it first. And that's because
after this year, they can start working extension,
contract.
Right? Like they could already be working extension after this year. And maybe that's their thought. Let's get him to get him more minutes this year. And then after this year, if he looks good, then let's talk extension. Right.
Yeah.
that could be their thought. And then the RFA is just as a backup, just in
Yeah.
case it doesn't work out. And then they can either move him or figure out if he wants to stay around. Right. So,
Right. No, it's a
they're
good
always trying to
contract for
play
what
it
is.
safe.
In a vacuum, it's a good contract, but like you guys said, I would have liked to see a 6-year deal right through his prime, lock him down in a top 4 role because we think he has that potential. Is there anything else that you guys have to say about the Samberg deal? No,
I think we covered it fairly well.
covered it up. All right. Little summer sports roundup then, I guess.
Yeah.
Elliott's wearing the Bomber jersey. If
Yeah.
you're on YouTube, we'll start with the Bombers. They got smoked by BC at home. I think the final score in that game was 30-6.
Yes. They did not score a touchdown.
They
in that
didn't
game.
score. Yeah. After they scored 40 points and then came into that game and scored no touchdowns. It was ridiculous. But my prediction, Elliott, that you wanted to bring up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like
Hey,
that?
but you also wanted to take it
I
back.
went back on it.
No,
No,
you walked it back.
I fenced it, so I was right either way. But anyways, that's how I was always gonna be right. Anyways, I'll just fence it. I'll just always
clown.
fence it. No, but then they went on. Wow. Anyways, the Bombers went on and beat Montreal, and then they beat Calgary. I think Friday night.
They looked great in that game.
Yeah, they scored 24 points. It was like a grinder of a game. It wasn't that pretty, but they got the win.
Greg McCrae,
the breakout
Legend.
game. Yeah. Janarian Grant goes down with an injury. McCrae steps in and has
McCrae stepped in before that.
Well, no, McCrae stepped in on the touchdown, and then he
Yeah.
had the 103-yard kick return as well, which was in place of Grant. But yeah, he's electric with the ball in his hands. He's a small guy, but he makes people miss.
My favorite part is he's been on the practice roster. Not even just this year. He's been on the practice roster.
Yep.
And he's just been sitting there. Now, I know how deep this Bombers team is, but that's unreal.
Yeah. Well, the Bombers are now, what is that, 4-1?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, 4-1. They're up there with BC at the top of the West. They play BC again in October. I know a lot of Bombers fans have that game circled on their calendar because they got smoked. And it's at IG Field again, so that should be a good crowd trying to get revenge. But yeah, I don't know. If you guys have anything else on the Bombers, go ahead. But we can move on to Sea Bears and Goldeyes.
I mean, they play the Red Blacks this week, and they
so you can just not even watch.
Shout out Darren Bombing. He just tweeted from Coach Dyche of the Red Blacks that they have, if Masoli's not ready, they're going with Dustin Crum again.
If Mazzoli's not ready, didn't he
He was up and walking around.
He was? Okay.
Yeah.
I just read online that it was non-contact, so I just assumed he tore something because usually non-contact.
Well, it's his other knee too, so it's if it is an issue, that's very, very bad.
Right.
But he was walking around before the end of the game, so
okay, then that's good news. That's a good sign.
Yeah. As far as it sounds like, if Masoli's not ready to go, they're going with Dustin Crum. Either way,
their other quarterback actually tore their ACL before Mazzoli.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Dane Evans?
But I saw that post. No, it wasn't Dane Evans. No, but in the first 4 weeks he played a few games and then tore his ACL, and then they went to Mazzoli, and then he got hurt. Non-contact injury. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, did another one of their quarterbacks tear an ACL or Achilles or something?"
Yeah.
No, but if he's walking around, that's a really
Tyree Adams
or
Nick Arbuckle.
Not Arbuckle. No, Tyree Adams.
I love how the Red Blacks have all of these failed quarterbacks in the league. Nick Arbuckle was, I remember a couple years ago when I was watching a CFL game, might have been 2021. It was he's the next big quarterback in the CFL for the Argonauts, and yeah.
Anyways, Red Blacks this week. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's on the road. And the Red Blacks are not good. The Bombers should win. But yeah, we can move on to the Sea Bears. Elliott, coming off a big win against Edmonton.
That was against Edmonton, which was revenge for the game here at Canada Life Center where they got absolutely
I was at that game. They got killed. They lost by 30. It was over.
And that was issues with effort that game. And that just had to do, I mean, Edmonton's been a streaky team this year. They've been all that was their start of their trend up, because they'd been really bad up until that point. or they'd been bad. And so that game put them on the upwards trend, but Edmonton's been everywhere. But yeah, they were coming off 2 straight losses, a game where they got blown out again against Ottawa. Then they played Montreal and lost a game they should have won. So then this game, it was kind of back and forth. They didn't play very well in the first quarter. And then after that, the second quarter, they took hold of the game and they kind of just steadied the ship. And I have to say, now it got a little close than it should have been. It ended up being 99-95, but they were up in target score time and they needed a bucket. I think they were up like 97 to, I think Edmonton was at like 89 or something. They were up by like 8. And yeah, it was bad. It was not the way you like. I think Edmonton hit like 2. Yeah, Edmonton hit 2 threes, and I went, oh God, like it's a 2-point game now. Good thing Teddy Allen exists in a game where he didn't really do much. And as much as Teddy Allen's played great this year, just a quick note. I will say the bucket was not like the bucket that Jelani Watson-Gale hit against Niagara, where he dribbled into the paint, dribble around the guy and kind of like put up a fading jumper for the win. This one was like Teddy Allen literally just drove to the hoop and had a free layup. Like it was actually like it was really bad. Like it was like one of the worst target score winners I've seen this year, where he literally had Isaiah Osborne on his hip and he just kept him on his hip, looked around, nobody came and helped, and he just went for a layup and scored. Like it was bad.
Oh my God, target score time. And he lays it in. Game over.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was a better performance. So they have tomorrow as well. When we release this episode, it'll be the night of. If you can't get there, I think it's important that people go to CLC on Tuesday night. It's against the Prairie rival. It'll be the third and final time that they play the Saskatchewan Rattlers. Last game, when it was at Canada Life Center, got really scrappy. It was kind of nuts. It was what you'd hope the Prairie rivalry would be. But the caveat is tonight's game, when this is recorded or posted, I guess, it is the TSN game of the week. So it will be, if you can't get there, it will be on national TV. It'll be a must-watch game. Saskatchewan's fired their coach. You'll get to see Justin Wright-Foreman, who is a actual NBA. Like, I will say he is an actual NBA player who has NBA experience. Like, he's nuts. He's probably the best player in the league.
Yeah.
So that'll be really fun. So if you can get there, check it out. If you can't, like me, I unfortunately won't be there, but I will be watching on TV.
Because
so
you're going to be at the Goldeyes game, right?
No, I've got other commitments I got to deal with tomorrow.
I'm just kidding. But the Goldeyes, that's a good transition.
Yeah.
6-game homestand coming up. I believe their record is 20-32,
Yes.
but they are just starting to get healthy. My favorite player, Jacob Bockley, was back in the lineup yesterday.
Has he gotten injured twice this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's back now, off the injured list. DH/first base.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you questions, but you keep going.
No, those are good questions. I mean,
well, maybe he's a DH. So other than getting hit by a pitch, it's kind of, or
no, it's
sliding.
It was like, I don't know. I forget what his injury was, but
so
it was
probably
hamstring. But no, he hasn't had any time yet in the 2 games or the 3 games he's been back at first.
All
so
DH.
Yeah, he's been DHing. Chris Burgess has been handling the first base duties. So yeah, it's sort of been easing him back in. I'm assuming we'll see him at some point because we're about to start a 6-game series against the Cleveland Railroaders.
It's a 6-game series?
It's so because of the way the travel is in the league and it's all by bus, it saves one team the worry of having to travel all the way down to Texas or all the way. So I'm assuming next year it'll be reversed. So we'll have 6 in Cleveland and that sort of thing.
I do know that they do 3 and 4 game series, but I didn't realize for longer trips like that. I couldn't remember. It's been so long since we've
only been doing this for a couple of years. So it's, but this is, it's a long one, but yeah, like we're coming off a very good team win. Had a couple rough losses in the first 2 games against Milwaukee to open up this homestand. First one was lopsided. Second one was a very close one in extra innings. But no, so I guess it was Sunday afternoon. great 6-4 win. Contributions all over the lineup. So you got Andy Armstrong having a big 2-run single in the 8th to put them ahead. Ended up closing that one out. But no, big games from Najee Gaskins, Bryn Martinez. So you're getting to get from the lower half of the lineup, which is absolutely necessary for us to find some sort of success going forward. Because right now the top 4, top 5 guys in the lineup have really, been carrying the load. Bockley's back now, so it adds some insurance for guys like Max Murphy. So we're slowly balancing things out with getting healthy and getting guys the playing time. So this is good. This is a huge series against Cleburne here, because obviously there's a lot of work to do, but a nice few games here would do a lot for both the standings and the team morale, and making sure that things are rolling along nicely.
Yeah. And it's like you said, a massive homestand, Tuesday to Sunday, every night, 6:30 p.m. Monday to Friday, Saturday 6 p.m., Sundays 1 p.m. Are there any specialty nights, Brian, off the top of your head?
I was just gonna say, so we've got a few coming up here. Notably on the 12th, so that's the Wednesday,
yes.
The Wednesday game. So I believe this is coming out Tuesday morning, Connor. So Wednesday night, it's retro night. We're wearing specialty jerseys. We're there for the first 1,000 fans. We've got a fanny pack giveaway. I have one. It's terrific. So there's that. A few other games coming up too, where at the very least, it's going to just be some good baseball, because Cleburne has been, solid. We're getting some great pitching from our starters right now, so it should be a hard fought battle. But no, I'm gonna pull up the promotions just to make sure I'm not missing anything here. But
something,
because no, we're getting to that point now too, where the back half of the season is loaded with promotions. So what's important here is not only are we there for the promotions, we show up and we give this Goldeyes team, a great support, structure here, because there are few things in I guess it's not we're not independent anymore, but in minor league ball that helps more than big fan support. We've been having some great crowds so far this homestand, so let's keep that rolling. I'll let you take over with your thoughts, because you were there for the game on Friday night,
which
if you wanted to chat a little bit about that, because there was a lot that happened.
I erased it from my memory, actually, so I have nothing to say. Basically, the Goldeyes lost 16-3. They were down 10-0 to 4. Sorry, wow, oof, my bad. They were down 10-0 after the 3rd inning. It was rough. It was a rough game, but like I said, my favorite player's back in the lineup, Jacob Bockley. They're getting healthy. They got Travis Seabrook back. He just won American Association Pitcher of the Week last week. And it's fun baseball. It's great baseball to watch. The weather is for the better. I mean, baseball is basically dependent on the weather, right? So it's not plus 40 outside anymore. As you know, people who live in Winnipeg know. It's now nice and 23. So that's perfect baseball weather. And like Brian said, a lot of promotions coming up. Come out to see some games, because the weather's nice, the team's getting healthy, it's some good baseball, and it's just a good time.
So just one last thing here. So the biggest one this week is retro night. But looking ahead here, the next homestand, which is end of July, we've got promotions on the 25th, 27th, 28th, and 30th. So kicking it off on the 25th with Ukrainian night.
Come on, baby.
Great, great stuff. Hoostley's singing the anthems.
Oh, yeah.
We've got the Troyanda dancers doing in-game and pre-game performances.
Let's go.
Stuff like that. That's awesome. We've got country night on the 27th.
This is already the best homestand of the year.
That's an auto win. Auto win because of these guys, but
here's another one here. July 28th, Oktoberfest in July.
Oh, W.
Fireworks and a beer mug giveaway that night too.
Holy.
And then maybe something for the kids on the Sunday game, which is the 30th. It's a jigsaw puzzle giveaway sponsored by the Winnipeg Public Library. So you're wanting to bring your kids out because it's Sunday fun days anyways. So got the bouncy castles, you got the music, we got fresh fruit on the concourse. It's a great time to bring people out. So
Nice.
but yeah, coming up early in the week. And I will also just let you know on the retro night this week, fireworks.
Oh yeah, everyone loves fireworks.
Yeah,
as long as weather permitting, as long as it's not too windy.
Always.
I'm
always
choosing
weather.
not to say anything about the weather because I'm superstitious.
Baseball is weather permitting,
and it's also superstitious. So
yeah, there you go.
It's weather permitting because we don't have a dome. But
Brian actually forgot. I don't know if this might not be an official Goldeyes promotion. I don't think it is, but on July 26th.
Yes.
Winnipeg Sports Talk Night.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
I was like, I swear I heard something about
They announced that a few days ago. Tickets in the Winnipeg Sports Talk section include a koozie and an entry to win a Goldeyes prize pack. I'm not sure which section that is. I'm sure it says when you go to buy a ticket.
Yeah, you'll hear from us probably.
That homestand is just loaded with promotional nights. So if you're gonna come out to the retro night, come that week when there's promotion literally every single game.
And all you have to do then is you can go to goldeyes.com/tickets. Or if you want to actually talk to someone in the box office, call 982-BASE, and you can talk to one of our lovely box office staff. Come on down to Shaw Park and have some fun on some beautiful summer nights.
I love Shaw Park. I just hope it stays. I just
an elite venue.
I hope they can keep Shaw Park. That's what I hope.
Oh, they can.
Oh yeah, we're making it happen.
It's a staple of Winnipeg.
Yeah.
What is that? What does that look? What? Goldeyes been around 30 years.
Yeah, true.
That's a staple.
And they've been in Shaw Park since '99.
There you go.
Wait, where were they before?
Canadiens. They were at the old Winnipeg Stadium.
Oh right, that is correct.
Yeah, and the dimensions were all sorts of weird.
There's just some random field,
like the 1800s, like we were talking about.
The wall in left field was so high because otherwise it would have been like a 310 wall. So they had to the high wall on that
monster.
side. But
I had to put the Winnipeg Monster.
Shaw Park has been an absolute godsend for this team, and it's every year. It's always doing something to improve, and I mean, craft beer corner was the move, and it still is.
Major W. I mean, obviously we haven't attended a Goldeyes game as fans, but I see people having fun over there. That's all.
Yeah, well, Connor and Elliott. Connor, if you're not working, and Elliott, if you're free, you two should go to a game, and then maybe I'll pop down and say hi. But I work. I haven't been
to a game for
Level Flight Live.
That can't happen.
From here on out, I think I work every game too. So
we'll bring Elliott up to the press box.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds great.
He'll sit front row and right. Yeah.
Hey, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine with me.
Alrighty. That was a pretty good wrap up of all the summer sports. I think this was a bit of a longer episode, but we wanted to kind of put a bow on everything because from here on out, like Brian said, with the free agency stuff, there's not really much happening. Like someone might get signed out of the blue or someone might get traded out of the blue, but there's no draft coming up. Free agency, anyone can be signed at any time, but the main names are off the board. But we still have content ideas. We're going to do some stuff. We might look back at the season that was. We might look at the free agents still available. Like Brian said, we might look at Blake Wheeler's best moments as a Jet. We might preview the upcoming season. We might have some guests. There's a lot of content ideas flowing.
I'm willing to say that this long episode is the end of season 1 of the Level Flight podcast.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Because this is the last sort of like big news dump that I think we'll have for a bit. So that's it. Wrap of season 1.
Yeah.
So this is what, episode 38?
We did it. 38.
Yeah. All right.
We won't mention the names
season 2.
Connor and I were talking about beforehand.
We try and associate the episode number with Jets players. if people haven't
We had
noticed
a
already. Like
38?
last one was the Connor Hellebuck episode.
Yeah.
who
We
was
do.
the
Connor
name?
didn't think either, and I had to search it up, but we're not gonna. We won't go there.
No, we will. We will. It was Paul Postma, the
In
first
year one.
year, the first
Oh
year
my
the Jets came back
God.
were 38. And who else was it?
Logan
remember?
Shaw in 2020.
The Logan Shaw episode. There it is. we got it. Alrighty. Yeah, Brian's right. This is the wrap on season 1. A full news cycle of an NHL season is the start of the season till draft and free agency. Now we start to look to next year. Last year was last season, I guess you could call it from our standpoint. I kind of thanked everyone before last episode, but we'll take this time again to thank everyone for listening.
Yeah.
38 episodes in is nuts to say, because even when we were like 3 or 4 episodes in, I was like, that we're just getting started. I didn't really think we'd get to this point, and yet here we are, and it's a blast every week. So thank you everyone for listening. And yeah,
every week.
here's to another season.
Yeah. Hopefully we can keep this going. This is fun. I love doing
It is
this.
very
This
fun.
is
Yeah.
this is like,
And the Jets will be an interesting team next year.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be I think it's gonna be much more fun to talk about.
I think so
Because
too.
they're not running it back. We
Well,
know that pretty much.
If Hellebuck
We'll
and
see.
Shifley start the season. Yeah. Anyways, that's next episode. Come back and we'll talk about that. We've already gone way too long on this one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from the 3 of us, thank you for listening. Check us out, episode 39, either later this week or next week. And yeah, I'll say go Blue Bombers.
Let's go Goldeyes.
Let's go Sea Bears.
See ya.